I gotta have this. I gotta have this. I've got no shelf space. I need to make shelf space. After the amazing episode that was last week's, this episode we get a resolution for a plot point that didn't really feel earned, warranted, or properly developed. That's right, it's time now for Revice, episode 26, The Crest of Hope. After his one-night stand with his ex, Vail makes his way back into Olteca's possession, giving him a new Vice stamp for his collection. Wait. Where are these Vice stamps coming from? The Igarashi siblings deal with the fact that they're the offspring of essentially Gifu and question their humanity. The two actual budgeted demons, Vice and Love Cove, hang out with no problem, but Daiji is dealing with his own issues. He's just not that well-rounded of a character. Yup, it's a Daiji-centric episode for the first time in ages.
Dealing with Kagerou. Eating curry on the go.
Meanwhile, at Phoenix, George is putting Gifu through his paces. I don't know if he was trying to just destroy the thing or what, but the director clearly knew it wasn't gonna go anywhere. George is really having an about face, as he's really coming off way more concerned and cautious than he has in his previous outings. It's a real change of pace for him. In this newfound compassion, he's developed 2 new Vice stamps in order to help Daiji and Ikki get control over themselves, as Gifu's influence keeps growing stronger. Kagerou makes his appearance after taking over Daiji's body and just manhandles Lady Doctor. Also, there's two side drivers? How plot convenient. George tells Kagerou that the Crow Vice stamp comes at a cost. Either him or Daiji will cease to exist, and George isn't willing to give it up without Daiji's consent. Look at that, he really is thoughtful. That's when the director chimes in, pretty much encouraging the fact that Kagerou could be the victor in this and stay in their ranks. George then calls Ikki and Sakura to go handle the situation, as Kagerou goes ahead and splits himself off from Daiji, so they can have a glorious face-off against each other. I say glorious, but the fight itself felt a little flat, weightless if you will. Kagerou was pulling his punches and that becomes apparent to Daiji. See, Kagerou's been playing the tough guy act as he's gotten weaker mentally because of the niceness of Daiji. I feel like there was supposed to be a big build-up to this, but besides the curry stuff, this development still feels completely forced and out of left field. Daiji defeats Kagerou with an impressive paint splatter shatter to the face. With that, Kagerou triggers Daiji's Crest of Hope, Crow Vice stamp, now becomes the Holy Wing Vice stamp. And live digivolves to... No, not Magna Angemon, but Holy Live. Oh yeah, so important side note, while Daiji was beating himself up, George and Ikki were there at the scene when Olteca shows up with Vail, letting him do whatever he wants. Showcasing off that the CG budget of the show was saved up for this moment, using Scorpion, Bata, and the new Anomalocaris Vice stamp, taking care of Ikki Vice with ease. That's when Holy Live shows up, and end of episode. Actually, not really. So of course, there's actually a very important part of the episode, and that is Busan's tell-all. So earlier in the episode, Ikki confronts Busan with the question we've all had for a while. Just who the hell are you? And Busan then gives us the plot synopsis of the upcoming Toei Tokusatsu fansub exclusive Revice Legacy, Vail. Coming March 27th. Shiranami Junpei was a young man who, at the brink of death, was revived by Masumi Karizaki using Gifu cells and forced to fight as Kamen Rider Vail for the military organization known as Noah. It's here that he befriended Busan, who was a soldier for Noah. The consistent fighting eventually took damage to his heart literally, until he was saved by Yukimi. Choosing to stay with her, he turns against Noah. The result costs him his memories, and eventually, he had a change of face and name. Noah, however, was splintered and became two factions. The Deadmen, who worship Gifu and his coffin, and Phoenix, who still pursue the military advancements brought by the Gifu Vice stamp. It's a nice tidbit, and I can't wait to get it fleshed out, even if some of the plot points were already explained in last week's episode. On another side note, Aguilera's in this episode, as she confronts Sakura about their difference in strength. As an observant viewer could tell you, it's easily explainable. Her initial loss of Gifu and seeing the drastic change from the heartache of Tamaki, Julio, that he had to deal with before. Speaking of which, we haven't seen this man in a while. Anyway, her humanity is really starting to show. Aguilera is having a change of heart, and that's definitely becoming clear. We're gonna get good Aguilera soon, and if we don't, then that's gonna need some explaining. Alright, so before I get into my rating, let's just look at Holy Live here. The Vice stamp in itself, when the wing comes down, reveals a revolver cylinder, which makes the two-side driver fully feel like a gun. That's definitely cool. And then there's the suit. Look, I love this suit. The color scheme is simple. With the sky blue and white, everything that was wrong with the live suit before has just been corrected with this form. But we still haven't fully seen this guy in action, but that's gonna happen next episode, and I still just find no problems with the suit. Really, really loving it. Rating time! So as you could probably tell, I have been coming off a little bit more not as excited as I usually am with a lot of these reviews. And that's because I didn't care too much for it. So this episode is going to be a C. Now, let me explain why before you guys start rushing to the comments and just lighting me up. And note, not every episode can be a banger. The visuals aside, Daiji is a character that after his arc wrapped up about 16 episodes ago, just didn't feel like he was really there. I mean, he was there, but he had no narrative plot point to really being there. Kagerou was sidelined faster than Hiromi's catchphrase, and he in himself, in which I mean Kagerou, had minimal to no growth as a character, as his reappearance in later episodes were played off for gags or just to make you think that he had certain moments, and thus he was easily just tossed aside. At one moment, you might think that he's bad, and then the next, you might think that he might come around. And then in this episode, he comes off as bad in the beginning, and you're like, he's just a good guy by the end of it. It's a really stale character whiplash for me. As such, this is such an abrupt call for an upgrade that would have felt more earned if Daiji and Kagerou swapped places more often. But that's asking for the spotlight to be taken away by the real main character of Sakura and sidekick Vice. So you know that wasn't going to happen. The Vail Backstory was nice and all, but with the special literally weeks away, this for the most part just told us the entire storyline that we're going to see. And I feel like someone that was just spoiled for something that I was really looking forward to. But I guess it makes sense that some people might not catch the special, so the story was laid out for that purpose. Honestly, I would have preferred that they not give us the entire storyline in the show and just merely tease us with the thought. Say something like this.
プーさんは父ちゃんの協力者。一気トラブル発生だ。
That's it! That's all we need. That's all we need. The most interesting part of the episode for me is just the change in George's character. I think with all the reveals that have been going on, such as the director's real intentions, are starting to weigh down on him. So it's really fascinating to see where his character goes from here. From the start, I've been more curious about how George's character reaches his endgame since, you know, Ikki's not disappearing from that photo anytime soon. So, what did you all think of this episode? I know some of you might feel completely different than me when it comes to this episode, and that's okay. So, to that end, I ask, did you feel that Daiji's character deserved this upgrade? And I mean, I like this form. I just didn't feel that it was earned. How about the Vail backstory? Did you like that the episode essentially spoiled the whole special, or are you fine with knowing it all ahead of time? Meanwhile, George and Aguilera's change of hearts. How's that treating you? With that being said, that's all for me, and I will catch you all next time. Bye.